When were you happiest?
I'm going to say right now.
What is your greatest fear?
Ooh. Falling.
What is your earliest memory?
Being asleep at a Rough Riders game.
What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
Sometimes I think too much about how to answer questions.
What is the trait you most deplore in others?
Self-entitlement.
What was your most embarrassing moment?
Pass.
What is your favorite word?
Ooh. Glorious.
What is your least favorite word?
Inglorious.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Telling a good story.
What turns you off?
Telling a bad story.
What was the last book that made you laugh?
That's a really good question. What was the last book I read that really made me laugh? I can think of ones that made me cry.
Okay. What was the last book to make you cry?
Oh, see, here we go. It was probably Danielle Young-Ullman's. Actually, you know what? Danielle Young-Ullman's Everything Beautiful is Not Ruined was the last book that made me both laugh and cry.
What was the last book that made you furious?
I tend to stop reading those ones.
About your latest book.
Mm-hmm.
When did you first get the idea to write it?
I first got the idea to write this particular book probably when I was 10 or 11, and I saw a bronze statuette, an archaeological find of a female figure holding an implement which was called the bather, but which I suspected even at the young age of 11 was actually a female warrior, and that has stuck with me ever since. And eventually it wormed its way out of my consciousness and into a book.
What's the most surprising thing you learned while writing it?
Just how much of a thing female gladiators actually very likely were.
In what way is the book you wrote different from the book you set out to write?
When I turned in my first draft of the manuscript, my editor, who is much smarter than I am, thank goodness, pointed to the central relationship in the book and said, how about instead of this familial relationship, we make it this familial relationship? And she was absolutely right, because I had actually been writing it in that direction. I just didn't know it. To which I say, go editors.
Great. Thank you.